Archaeologists have made a discovery that will bring disaster to humanity. Local tribes claim that this has happened before in history. How is the self-destruction of the pyramid connected to the prediction of shamans? How can one person destroy part of our history with water? Ruins of ancient civilizations and the connection between ancient Egypt and the Bible. An exciting journey awaits you in this video. Hi friend, you are on the Kurtop channel. Destroyed history with water. A 39-year-old man in Spain decided to pour water on 6,000-year-old cave paintings to get better photos for his social media. He irreparably damaged the ancient images, which are located in various places in the Sierra Sur de Jaén mountain range. These cave paintings are considered part of the country's cultural heritage. The images are made on limestone, which contains water-soluble salts. When exposed to water, the salts dissolve and then settle on the surface, forming a crust. This leads to irreparable damage to the ancient works of art. He is now on trial for a crime against historical heritage. Winged demon on ancient seal. A 2,700-year-old stone seal depicting a winged figure in Hebrew inscriptions has been discovered in Israel. The find was made near the southern wall of the Temple Mount and dates back to the First Temple period. The seal is made of black stone and is decorated with an inscription that translates as "For Yehoezer, son of Hoshayahu." Archaeologists have noted that this is one of the most beautiful seals found in Jerusalem. The seal depicts a winged figure dressed in a striped shirt and headdress. According to Assyriologist Dr. Philip Vukosavowicz, such winged demons are found in Neo-Assyrian art from the 9th to 7th centuries BC and served as protective magical figures. The seal probably belonged to a high-ranking official of the Kingdom of Judea and served as an amulet and symbol of power. It reflects not only the Assyrian influence, but also the owner's connection with the local Jewish culture. The first astronomical observatory. A newly discovered ancient Egyptian observatory, the first of its kind, demonstrates the Egyptians' deep knowledge of astronomy and their close connection to spiritual and ritual practices. It is the largest and first known observatory in Egyptian history. The remains of the 6th century BC structure were found 3 years ago during excavations at the ancient city of Buto, now known as Tel El Farayin, in the governorate of Kafr el-Sheikh. "Everything we found exceeded our expectations," said Hossam Ghonim, director of the Kafr el-Sheikh Antiquities Authority and leader of the Archaeological mission. Archaeologists have uncovered the remains of an L-shaped mud brick building covering an area of about 850 square meters. The eastern entrance leads to a spot where sunlight illuminated a solar and stargazing point where an astronomer priest stood. On the walls, there is an image of him facing the rising sun, symbolizing the connection of the ancient Egyptians with the cosmos. Initially, the researchers thought that they had discovered a temple, but the discovery of artifacts and inscriptions related to astronomy, such as a sundial and other timekeeping instruments, led to the conclusion that it was an observatory. Inside the hall, astronomical images of the sunrise and sunset over the 3 seasons were found. The artifacts found, such as statues of Horus and Osiris, as well as a bronze figurine of Osiris with a snake, confirm the importance of the spiritual and scientific role of the observatory. Ruins of an ancient civilization underwater. In the early 2000s, a team of researchers led by the Canadian company Advanced Digital Communications made a sensational discovery off the coast of Cuba. At a depth of about 750 meters, strange structures resembling stone structures were discovered on the ocean floor. These structures looked like organized rows of giant stone blocks, some of which had a regular rectangular shape and resembled massive walls or pyramidal structures. The initial results of underwater research carried out using modern sonar led to the hypothesis of the possible existence of a sunken city that could have been absorbed by the ocean tens of thousands of years ago. According to some estimates, the age of these ruins may exceed 50,000 years, which is significantly older than the earliest known civilizations, such as Sumer and ancient Egypt. This makes the possible discovery even more intriguing since it suggests the existence of ancient and possibly highly developed cultures that science does not yet know anything about. Some scientists believe that these ruins may represent the remains of an ancient city built before the last ice age, when the ocean level was much lower. There is a suggestion that this area may have been inhabited by ancient peoples who were later forced to leave their homes due to rising sea levels. This hypothesis finds support among supporters of the theory of the existence of ancient sunken continents, such as Atlantis, described in the works of Plato. Some geologists suggest that these formations may be the result of natural geological processes such as erosion, earthquakes, and other movements of the Earth's crust. Further research and analysis of the underwater ruins off the coast of Cuba will require significant resources and time. Let's hope that the authorities will find the funds to study these ancient ruins. Shamans predict disaster. In Mexico, one of the ancient pyramids used by ancient tribes for human sacrifices has collapsed, raising fears of an impending disaster. Descendants of the tribe that built the pyramid fear that the collapse could be a harbinger of a major disaster caused by the elements or another phenomenon. Photos from the scene show that part of the structure collapsed after heavy rain that recently fell. The downpour washed away one of the sides of the pyramid. These pyramids were built by the ancestors of the modern Purépecha, a warlike people who once defeated the Aztecs. Historians claim that the Yucata pyramids were used by the Purépecha tribe for ritual sacrifices to their main god, Curicuri. Anthropologist Tariaquiri Alvarez said that the collapse of the pyramid is an unlucky sign. Local shamans believe that even the fall of one stone was a bad omen, and the collapse of an entire wall means an inevitable catastrophe. A similar phenomenon was observed before the arrival of the conquistadors. Ancient city in Micronesia. This amazing complex is built on artificial islands that are connected by a network of canals, which is why it is often called the Venice of the Pacific. The complex includes about 100 artificial islets. The islands were created from massive basalt blocks, laid in such a way as to form walls, platforms, and buildings. Each structure is surrounded by water channels, which makes this place even more mysterious and impressive. The age of Nan Madol is estimated at about 1,500 years, but some studies indicate that the first buildings could have appeared much earlier. Archaeologists suggest that the construction of this complex began at the end of the first millennium AD, possibly under the leadership of local rulers, the Saudeleur dynasty, who used Nan Madol as a ceremonial and administrative center. The main mystery of Nan Madol is how the inhabitants of the island of Ponape were able to build such a complex and massive city with limited technology and resources. Each basalt block used in the construction weighs from several hundred kilograms to several tons. Transporting and installing such heavy blocks would have required considerable effort and knowledge. The basalt was quarried on the other side of the island, which meant it had to be transported across difficult terrain and water. Considering that the ancient builders did not have modern technology, this feat seems almost impossible. Some researchers suggest that the stone blocks could have been transported using rafts and ropes, while others point to the possible use of a system of levers and ramps. However, none of these theories fully explain how the ancient Micronesians managed to lay and align these massive structures so precisely. Nan Madol is also surrounded by many legends and myths. Locals believe that the city has magical properties and that it was built using supernatural forces. Some myths claim that Nan Madol was home to spirits and was used for rituals related to ancestor worship. To this day, this ancient city inspires awe and respect among the inhabitants of Ponape, and they avoid visiting Nan Madol after sunset, considering it a place of residence of spirits. Stoneheads. Found in what is now Mexico, the La Venta giant stoneheads are among the most enigmatic artifacts of the ancient Olmec civilization. These massive sculptures, created about 3,000 years ago, are monolithic heads carved from large basalt stones. The heads range in height from 1.5 to 3.4 meters and weigh up to several tons. Only 4 such heads have been discovered in La Venta, each with unique facial features and the characteristic Olmec art of carving. The Olmecs, one of the earliest and most enigmatic civilizations of Central America, lived in what is now the state of Tabasco in Mexico. The facial features carved on the heads are often interpreted as African, which has given rise to many hypotheses and theories about possible cultural contacts between the Olmecs and other continents. However, there is no direct evidence of such contacts, and most scholars are inclined to believe that such facial features were characteristic of the Olmec culture itself. Basalt carving requires considerable effort and skill, especially considering the limited tools available at the time. The Olmecs apparently used primitive tools made of stone and wood, which makes their achievements in sculpture even more impressive. How they were able to achieve such a level of detail and expressiveness remains a mystery. Another question is the transportation of these massive stones. The basalt quarry is located in the Tuxtla Mountains, about 80 kilometers from La Venta. This means that the ancient craftsmen had to move huge stone blocks through dense jungle and rugged terrain. The meaning and purpose of these stone heads also remains a subject of debate among scholars. Some researchers believe that the heads depicted rulers or important members of society, perhaps a warrior or priest, emphasizing their status and importance. The expressive facial features and unique elements of the headdresses carved into the heads could symbolize strength and power. Endless attempts to decipher the ancient text. The clay tablets inscribed with Linear A are among the most mysterious finds from ancient Crete. These tablets date back to around 1800–1450 BC and belong to the flourishing era of the Minoan civilization, one of the first highly developed cultures in Europe. The tablets were discovered in archaeological excavations on Crete at sites such as Knossos, Malea, Phaistos, and Agia Triada. They contain text written in the form of linear symbols, which gives this type of writing its name. Linear A is an early writing system that preceded the more famous Linear B, which was used to write Mycenaean Greek. Unlike Linear B, which was deciphered in the mid-20th century, Linear A remains undeciphered. The main mystery of these tablets is their incomprehensible content, as the language they are written in is unknown and has no obvious analogues among known ancient languages. Most of these tablets are administrative and accounting records, which is typical of ancient writing systems. However, without the ability to read these texts, archaeologists and historians are limited in their understanding of important aspects of Minoan society, including its economy, religious practices, and daily life. Endless attempts to decipher Linear A continue, and each new artifact discovered during excavations brings hope for solving this ancient mystery. Stonehenge doesn't even come close. The Gambla stone circles, located in what is now Senegal and Gambia, are one of the most enigmatic and impressive archaeological sites in West Africa. These megalithic structures, comprising thousands of individual stones, are arranged in circles and lines covering over 30,000 square kilometers. They are known as the Sine Ngayen and Wasue megalithic complexes in Senegal and Kerbak and Wanyanka in Gambia. The age of these stone circles is estimated at around 1,500 years, although some may be much older, suggesting long-term use and importance to local ancient cultures. Each stone circle is made up of massive pillars that range in height from 1 to 2.5 meters, and the diameter of the circles can reach 8 meters. On average, each stone weighs about 7 tons. The complex includes more than 1,700 individual circles, making it one of the largest collections of megaliths in the world. These stone circles are often compared to Stonehenge due to their mysterious origin and unknown purpose. However, Stonehenge does not come close to the scale of the Gambla stone circles. The purpose of this gigantic structure is still a subject of discussion and research. One of the most popular theories is their ritual and ceremonial significance. Stone circles could have served as places for religious ceremonies, meetings, and burials. Indeed, burial mounds have been found near some of the circles, which supports the idea of burial rituals. In some places, artifacts such as pottery and iron tools have been found, which could have been used in rituals or as offerings. Some scientists believe that the arrangement of the stones is related to observations of the movements of the sun, moon, and stars, and could have been used to determine calendar cycles or hold important agricultural festivals. The ancient builders used local materials such as laterite stones, but the technique of their processing and installation is still unclear. The connection between ancient Egypt and the Bible. The Ipuwer Papyrus, also known as the Utterance of Epusur, is an ancient Egyptian text written on papyrus that is currently housed in the Leiden Museum in the Netherlands. The document dates to the end of the Middle Kingdom of Egypt around 1800 BC, although a copy of the papyrus may have been created much later. The papyrus is written in the form of a poetic monologue in which the narrator, Ipuwer, describes the catastrophic disasters that have struck Egypt. The text tells of social unrest, natural disasters, mass famine, and the breakdown of social order, making it a unique source for understanding ancient Egyptian views on crisis and chaos. One of the mysteries of the Ipuwer papyrus is its possible connection to real historical events. Some scholars believe that the papyrus does not describe specific events, but rather a literary interpretation of general ideas about chaos and social disorder that were common in Egyptian thought. At the same time, the content of the text has led to speculation that it may reflect a real historical upheaval, perhaps related to the decline of the Middle Kingdom or other catastrophes. Interest in the Ipuwer papyrus has also arisen because of parallels with the biblical plagues of Egypt described in the Book of Exodus. Descriptions of blood turning the river red, darkness, and mass death resonate in both texts. However, the exact connection between the Ipuwer papyrus and the biblical events remains controversial, as there is no convincing evidence of a direct historical connection. The mysterious pyramids of Sedeing. This complex, discovered by archaeologists at the end of the 20th century, includes more than 80 pyramids, making it one of the largest burial sites in the Nubian desert in Sudan. The Sedeing pyramids were built during the period when Nubia was under the influence of ancient Egypt, and the rulers of the Kush kingdom sought to imitate Egyptian traditions and architecture. Most of the Sedeing pyramids are small in size compared to Egyptian pyramids, the average height of which is between 3 and 7 meters. They were built of sandstone and brick and were used as burial places for nobles and members of the ruling elite. Archaeologists have found ceramics, jewelry, and the remains of mummies in these pyramids, which indicates the high level of skill of Nubian artisans. One of the mysteries of the Sedeing pyramids is their large number in a relatively small area, which makes this complex unique. The construction of such a large number of pyramids may indicate the important religious and cultural significance of this place for the ancient Nubians. Sedeing was also the site of the cult of the goddess Hathor, who played a key role in the religious life of Nubia. Find of the century. Research in the caves of the Danube Valley in southern Germany shows that Stone Age people were not just cave savages. Finds made in the Swabian Alps show what outstanding artistic abilities our ancestors had about 45,000 years ago. The Swabian Alp may be the cradle of modern European man. This is evidenced by the figurines made of mammoth tusks found here, which are up to 40,000 years old. A recent discovery in the karst cave Hohlefels, located near Blauburen, confirms this assumption. During excavations, a Danish student found a figurine of an animal about 6 centimeters long. Although its head is missing, scientists believe it is an image of an otter. Archaeologists have nicknamed this artifact Find of the Year. About 45,000 years ago, Homo sapiens came to the Danube region, neighboring the Neanderthals. It was previously believed that modern humans had more extensively spread across the territory of present-day France, as evidenced by the discovery of cave paintings. However, the figurines from the Swabian Alp change our understanding of the settlement and life of ancient people in Europe. The caves of the Swabian Alp have been explored since the mid-19th century. The finds include stone and bone tools as well as jewelry, which provide important information about the lives of Neanderthals and other early representatives of humanity. In the mid-20th century, the Nazi organization Ahnenerbe also carried out excavations here, seeking to find evidence of the existence of ancient Aryans. In recent years, excavations in the caves have resumed and new discoveries have been made, including a figurine of a woman known as the Venus of Hohlefels. This image with big breasts and expressive feminine features probably symbolized fertility. Other finds, such as ancient flutes made of bird bones, indicate a high level of spirituality and art among our ancestors. The Ring of an Uncommon Man. Assos is an ancient city with a rich history founded in the 7th century BC. In this ancient city, located in the southwest of the Biga Peninsula in Turkey, archaeologists have found a Roman ring depicting Athena, the revered goddess of Assos. The ring was found in a building known as the Xenodokion, which served as a dormitory in ancient times. Founded by Greek settlers from the island of Lesbos, Assos has deep historical roots dating back to the Bronze Age. Athena, the daughter of Zeus and one of the main deities of Olympus, became the patroness of the city. Assos was an important regional center and is mentioned in ancient texts along with the cities of Asuva and Pedassos. Excavations in Assos have been ongoing for almost 40 years under the direction of Turkish archaeologists. The ring with the image of Athena, discovered in Xenodokion, probably belonged to a high-ranking resident of the city and was used as a seal, similar to modern signatures. According to our estimates, the artifact dates back to the 2 and 3 RD centuries AD. In the 6th century BC, the city of Assos was under the rule of Lydia, then became part of the Persian Empire, after which it entered the Athenian Confederation. The city again came under Persian control until Alexander the Great liberated it in 334 BC. Assos was later part of the Kingdom of Pergamon and became part of the Roman Empire. Over time, the city lost its importance, passing under the rule of the Byzantines, Seljuks, Franks, and Ottomans until 1330. Step pyramids in Spain. The Pyramids of Guimar are a unique archaeological complex located on the island of Tenerife, one of the Canary Islands belonging to Spain. These pyramidal structures, built of basalt stones, attract the attention of researchers and tourists due to their mysterious history and unusual architecture. In total, there are 6 pyramids on the territory of the complex, which have a stepped shape and a terraced base, reminiscent of the buildings of the ancient civilizations of Mesoamerica. Some researchers believe that the pyramids were built by the ancient Aborigines of the Canary Islands, the Guanches, who used them for ritual and religious purposes. In support of this theory, they point to the similarity of the Pyramids of Guimar with other ancient structures used for worship of gods and ceremonies. However, there is an alternative point of view suggesting that the pyramids were built in the 19th century as part of agricultural terraces. A feature of the Pyramids of Guimar is their orientation in relation to astronomical phenomena. Research has shown that the pyramids are built in such a way as to be oriented towards the solstices. On the day of the summer solstice, a unique phenomenon can be observed when the shadow of the pyramids is perfectly aligned with their edges, creating the effect of a double sunset. This astronomical alignment indicates the possible use of the pyramids as an observatory or for performing calendar rituals. It took 12 days to dig up this find. Archaeologists from the University of Iowa spent 12 days excavating several mastodon skull bones that were discovered by a local man. The remains are estimated to be about 13,600 years old. The mastodon was a long-extinct distant relative of modern elephants. The discovery of a juvenile mastodon tooth suggests that more bones may be found in the area. Stone tools were also found during the excavation, but they are more recent and several thousand years younger than the mastodon. Mastodons, although about the same height as modern elephants, were more massive, weighing up to 6 tons. They disappeared shortly after the first humans arrived in North America about 14,000 years ago, like other megafauna. The last known mastodon was found in peat near Lake Pleasant in Michigan and is estimated to be about 10,500 years old. Traces of hunting were found on its bones. Mastodons preferred forested areas. Their teeth were adapted for chewing hard branches and bushes, unlike mammoths which ate grasses and cereals on the plains. Rock art in Somaliland. The Lost Gal Cave Paintings Complex in Somaliland is one of the most impressive and enigmatic archaeological sites in Africa. These approximately 9,000-year-old rock art sites display a high level of artistry and detail that makes them unique among similar sites. The paintings are housed in a series of caves and shelters protected from the elements, allowing them to be well preserved to this day. The cave walls depict scenes from the daily lives of ancient people, including hunting, rituals, and worship, as well as images of domestic animals such as cattle. Of particular interest are the images of anthropomorphic figures, which are rendered with striking realism and vibrant colors. The figures of people and animals are decorated with various patterns, which indicates the complex social and religious beliefs of the ancient artists. Some images include scenes of people holding hands or performing ritual movements, which may indicate religious or cultural rites. Also noteworthy are the images of cows with richly decorated horns, which may indicate the importance of cattle breeding in the lives of the ancient inhabitants of the region. Stone toy has scientists baffled. An ancient stone figurine that looked like a children's toy was discovered during excavations in Iceland. The find was made in Seyðisfjörður and dates back to the Viking Age. The figurine depicts a 4-legged animal with a chopped-off ear. Most archaeologists believe it is a pig, as the Vikings raised pigs for their meat. However, some researchers have suggested that the figurine may represent a bear, although bears are not native to Iceland. After posting the photos on social media, many users suggested that the image was of an Icelandic dog. Excavation director Ragnhildur Traustadóttir is skeptical of this version, noting that the facial features do not match a dog, based on his many years of experience as an Icelandic dog owner. Excavations at Seyðisfjörður, which began in 2020, have already yielded a number of interesting finds, including burial mounds, sheepfolds, Viking graves, and around 4,000 artifacts. While the exact purpose of the figurine is unknown, it is thought that it may have been carved to entertain children on winter evenings. Ancient graffiti in the fortress. The Sigiriya graffiti are unique inscriptions found on the walls of the ancient fortress of Sigiriya, located on top of a monolithic rock in central Sri Lanka. These graffiti represent one of the most important collections of ancient inscriptions on the island, dating from approximately the 5th to 8th centuries AD. They were left by visitors to the fortress, including poets, pilgrims, and travelers, on the mirror walls, polished surfaces that once decorated the inner halls and corridors of the palace. The Sigiriya graffiti are poetry, commentary, and personal impressions written in the Sinhala language using ancient forms of writing. Despite their historical value, the interpretation of the Sigiriya graffiti is controversial among historians. Questions about who exactly left these inscriptions, their social status, motives, and purposes remain open. Some researchers believe that the graffiti were created by members of the upper class who visited the palace, while others suggest that they may have belonged to pilgrims and merchants, indicating that the fortress was accessible to the general public. Burial of a German ancestor. Archaeologists have discovered the burial of a man belonging to the Alemanni people, who lived in what is now Germany nearly 2,000 years ago. Although only one burial has been found so far, researchers believe there may be more similar finds in the area. During a rescue excavation in Gerstetten, Germany, carried out in preparation for housing construction, archaeologists found a chamber grave of Alemanni. The Alemanni, a confederation of Germanic tribes, were first mentioned in 213 AD and were known for their settlement on the east bank of the Rhine River. During the excavation, the team found a wooden structure containing the remains of a man. Artifacts such as ceramic and glass vessels, a decorated comb, and a high-status glass goblet, likely from the nearby late Roman fort of Guntia, Gunzburg, were found next to his skeleton. A sample of the man's rib was sent for radiocarbon dating to a lab in Mannheim, the results of which confirmed that the man likely died between 263 and 342 AD. Golden pectoral from Tolstaya, Mogila. Discovered in 1971 in the Dnipropetrovsk region of modern-day Ukraine, this artifact is one of the most impressive artifacts of the Scythian culture. This exquisite piece of jewelry dates back to the 4th century BC and was found in one of the largest Scythian burial mounds. The pectoral is a gold pectoral ornament weighing over 1 kilogram and measuring about 30 centimeters in diameter. It is made with a high degree of craftsmanship and detail, indicating the significant development of Scythian crafts and their cultural contacts with the Greek world. The pectoral is decorated with 3 rows of bas-reliefs depicting scenes from the life and mythology of the Scythians. The upper and lower rows contain realistic images of animals such as lions, griffins, deer, and birds, symbolizing strength and power. The middle row, the most complex and detailed, depicts scenes from the daily life of the Scythians. People working with horses, women preparing food, and figures engaged in crafts. These scenes may represent allegories or illustrations of mythological subjects related to the cosmology and religious beliefs of the Scythians. The mystery of the golden pectoral lies not only in its artistic value, but also in its symbolic meaning. It was found in a royal burial, which indicates that it belonged to a high-ranking person, possibly a king or a priest. The scenes on the pectoral may reflect the complex religious ideas and mythology of the Scythians associated with the cult of ancestors, the afterlife, and the worship of natural forces. Some researchers believe that the pectoral could have been used for ritual purposes, symbolizing the transition between the worlds of the living and the dead. Rate this video with your thumb up and tell your friends about it. Thanks for watching. Bye, everyone.